The fire's out.
The lies are out.
But for Grey, time is running out.
So, how long before the truth is out?
I'm Alex.
I'm Rob.
And this is the Walford Weekly Podcast. Hello everyone and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes that were released on the BBC in the UK from Monday the 13th to Friday the 17th of September. And I cannot do this alone. I would be very lonely. Here is Rob to help me out. Hello, Rob.
Hello everybody, how are we this week? Hello Alexander, how the devil are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm feeling very happy, actually, and excited and looking forward to this podcast because we have lots and lots to talk about, including
medication.
The big fire. That's right. I've put my pill in, shaking my head about, and I'm ready to go.
Nurse, he's out of bed again.
I'm back. Yeah, lots and lots of stories to talk about this week. So I don't know about you, Rob. I've fancied just delving right in and getting on with it. How about you? Do you fancy doing that?
Busy old week. Let's do this!
Excellent. Right, so we are going to start off, obviously, with the big story this week, and that is the fire that happened in the square, or more directly, it was in Phil's house. So, obviously, there was that big stunt this week, lots of special effects. Some hit, some miss. Perhaps we've discussed that maybe in a second, but first of all... Janine's heroicness for the story. I thought this really painted a new light for Janine this week because it made her character more rounded, which is something that I really wanted to see last week, but it started this week, I think. And so it kind of kick-started the Janine character into gear for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really liked Janine being a hero because there was a horrible sort of moment where you sort of thought, is she going to do something insane like leave Tommy in the fire or something? You know, it felt like they would have been perfectly capable of doing something like that. So I absolutely loved when, Scarlett was out of the way, she ran out of the house and she battled through the flames, saved Tommy. And there was a really nice moment when she turned around to Tommy and was like, right, come on, talk to me. What do you want to be when you're older? A footballer. Footballers are brave, they're great. And I loved all that. Absolutely loved all that. And then when she was dangling Tommy out the window, loved it. While the rest of the square was stood there watching a poor child being dangled from the window for 10 minutes before the place blew up. It's brilliant. Loved it. See, now, I think the issue is here. I think you could possibly kind of give the explanation that, the flames were too much for them to get to. I'm assuming that's what they were going for. They maybe could have, cut a few reaction shots and then just kind of done the explosion a little bit sooner. But, I think that for the main part, I think I loved the fire episode. We'll talk about the moment that, not just us, by the way. Now, every week, well, let's talk about it now. Every week, alright, we complain about music and we kick off about sound effects every week. And we get people that say to us, oh, what are you moaning about them for? Oh, it's too much. No, there's nothing wrong with them. They add to the scene. You moan about it every week. It's boring you moaning about it every week. And that's fine. You're entitled to that. However, it wasn't just us moaning this week. It wasn't just us because
it was a majority on Twitter and social media.
Everyone was kicking off about it. The papers kicked off about it. Everyone kicked off about it.
We were in the paper about it, Rob. The Mirror quoted us on our Twitter. The Mirror quoted us this week.
I'm available. Please hire me. No, because I had friends who I've spoken to, friends of mine that are fans of the show, and I've mentioned my, sort of disdain for any sort of music or sound effects, and they have said to me, "Oh, I don't know what you're on about." And we've brought up examples where it's been used. But I've got friends that didn't mind Denise slowing down time. That's how, that's how much these people, I know, I know, and they differ
they need
from
their
the
head
things,
rattling.
Even they were kind of like, why did Florence and the Machines play when Grey was putting Kheerat out of the house? So why did that happen? Because it was just now the music. Now the music, you could explain, came from the Pride event that was playing at the time, and they decided to whack up the volume just as Grey and Kheerat came. I'm not excusing it. Don't even have a go at me. I'm not excusing it. All right, I'm not. But my point is that's where the music came from.
Yeah, but you saying that's where it came from, I think you're right. I think that's what they wanted us to think. It came from some event or from the market store or something like that. Because immediately in the next scene, the music stopped. Dead. It was gone.
Yeah.
And they did it later on in the week as well with Ruby. So Yeah, so it
yes.
made me wonder if they are taking note to say, okay, incidental music out of context might be wrong.
It was Robert Miles or something, wasn't it? It was a good tune, to be fair. It was very good. That's the sort of thing that I used to get. That's the sort of thing I used to go mental to in the noughties. Yes, but there was literally no reason why. See, the thing is, it made out that Grey was a hero, and that's the last thing that Grey is. And I wonder if that we were supposed to be seeing it from Whitney's perspective. You know, when she was literally standing there watching him pull this man out of the fire, his face charred with ash and smoke, his hair all stood up, looking like, you know, and she stood there with Niagara Falls coming out of her because she was that excited to see Grey looking all sexy and hot. You know, that was what we were supposed to be seeing it from, but no. I mean, for me, it didn't ruin the episode. Nothing. For me, you know, it added nothing, as it ever does, to be fair. But for the most part, the fire episode itself, I thought was pretty well done. You know, bearing in mind that these people had to be, you know, 2 meters apart and all that sort of thing. You know, I think they filmed around that. Obviously, some people were bubbled, but it's for me personally, the fire episode was pretty good. It wasn't the best fire episode that's ever been in the world ever, but it was good. It was entertaining. I was stressed as hell because I genuinely thought that this week was going to be literally me soothing you for an entire hour. We're going to forget about all the other stories. It was literally just going to be me kind of holding you essentially as you grieved Kheerat's death, vowing never to watch EastEnders ever again. You cradled a picture of him. So
can I go back to you saying about looking at it from Whitney's perspective? So do you think then that's how we were meant to be envisioning this then? We were seeing, because obviously later in the week, Whitney and Grey become closer and closer and closer, where Grey starts or visits his father, which we will talk about in a moment. But so if that was the case, then why? I don't know. I don't think you needed that either. There's surely a shot of seeing Whitney kind of looking on and watching them. No, I know you're not.
We'd have got it.
I'm just imagining that
we'd have got it.
Yeah. I don't know. At Halloween, I'm just imagining Whitney's going to go dressed as olive oil and Grey's going to be Popeye. And I'm just imagining that at Halloween, you know?
It reminded me a little bit of when Mick started swimming to Katy Perry all those years ago. Do you remember? When he was having the swimming race with Dean. So it reminded me of that sort of moment, because I think the moment was supposed to be the fact that we as the audience, they were putting some slightly inspiring, uplifting music behind it because we as the audience, and let's be honest, I was quite convinced it was going to happen because we thought that he was going to just leave Kheerat to die, and it was supposed to be kind of a moment of relief as Kheerat's fine. You know, I'm assuming that's what it was supposed to be, but trust me, we didn't need it. We were relieved whether you decided to stick Florence over it or not, EastEnders, trust me. But, I mean, what did you think of the fire itself? The stunts, the explosion, you know, what did you think? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, no, I'm like you. I thought Monday's episode was good. It was fun. It did feel like EastEnders. I don't think there's been a few articles flying around at the moment saying that it's back to EastEnders' old form. I don't think it is. I don't think it was a classic EastEnders moment quite. It was almost, but not quite. One of the reasons I would argue that is because after Monday's episode, there seemed to be little to no fallout at all, nothing at all, other than the fact that the Mitchells and Kat were homeless now. I think there was a passing comment with Kat saying that Tommy's now okay in hospital, so that kind of threw our theory. I was sure when you said earlier when Janine was asking Tommy, "Oh, what do you want to be when you're older?" "Oh, a footballer." I thought, there we go. That's the foreshadowing. Let's get going. He's going to break his leg on that, but no, he seems to be fine unless there's something going to be happening a little bit down the line. In past EastEnders, that fire would have affected. that fire would have caused a ripple down the whole square, and in one way or another, everyone would have been somehow affected by it. And that didn't seem to happen. Again, it was kind of again, it could be argued because of the situation we're in with COVID that there's bubbles, and so they could only kind of keep it within the ecosystem of the Mitchells and Kat and Janine's storyline. But it just felt like Monday's episode was great and nothing then came out of it, if you know what I mean. And which is, again, something you could argue of the era. The aftermath, yeah, it wasn't quite the same. I mean, there's a couple of. I thought the effects were fine. There was a few moments when it was obvious that they literally put on like had a few gas bottles in front of a green screen, and then they planted that in front of like the top of the stairs, and then put that at the bottom of the stairs, and to look like there's more fire than there actually was in the house. But that is literally me nitpicking. That is me literally like finding the minor.
And if we're nitpicking minor details, then you know if that's the worst thing that we can do about an episode, just nitpick minor details and complain about gas bottles appearing obvious, then you know what, that's okay. You know, my only other thing is I like a fire episode. I like to be at night. That's my only other slight minor niggle. I love a night episode because I just think when you do the big explosion, it's more atmospheric, isn't it? You know, when you know the inevitable
more contrasting
finale of the episodes. Yes, you know, the inevitable finale of the episode is always the big sort of like, and boom at the end, isn't it? You know, so I prefer them at nights to the day, but like you say, I'm nitpicking as much as I did for the most part really enjoy the fire episode. It was dramatic. Like I say, I was stressed, which I have to say I haven't been that stressed watching EastEnders, as in I'm enjoying it for quite a while. So I did really enjoy it.
So my favourite moment also, I have to say, was also when Ben and Callum realised the fire had started and they went running over to the house. And Ben said, Callum, well, first of all, Callum had to be prompted to call the emergency services, which I thought as a police officer should have been just a gut reaction anyway, but fine. And then when
he did, it was like, it's PC Highway here, I need the fire service.
Yeah, number 12645. Yes, that's me.
Yeah,
Callum.
His own
yes, I became a
hotline.
Police officer in one day. What of it?
Yeah.
But he when he got told to call as well, he picked up, he got his phone out and then kind of looked at it as if to say, what number is the police service? What is it?
What is this? 966
7
9
Hello
12.
Yeah. I mean, I get that Callum can get quite panicked in a situation from time to time, but I just felt like it was just yet another moment where Callum kind of just shows an ineptness as a police officer.
Bless him.
Yeah,
Bless him. He's not going to save anybody every time soon, is he? I mean, hey, you know, it was fun. And then, so later on in the week, Tommy's in hospital. We're told he's going to be all right. I'm not as convinced as you are that we've heard the last of Tommy's injuries, in all honesty, because I don't know. We'll see. But Janine then essentially says to Kat, and I have to say, I was very much Team Janine with this. She was like, "I've just saved your son from a burning building. Let me have my daughter."
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to do anything crazy here. And Kat at first was very grateful. I don't know how to say thank you. And then later on, when she's been to the court, you could at least, you know, Kat should at least have surrounded her and go, right, yeah, okay, we'll sort this out between us, all right? Fair enough. You know, I can see you're trying, in all honesty. So we'll see how it goes. But then later on in the square, Janine points out again, I rescued them from a burning building, and Kat genuinely said, "What do you want? A medal?" It's like, no, Kat, you stupid woman. She wants her daughter
just
back.
some acknowledgement.
And she saved your son. She saved, but she sure did also cause the fire. So you could argue that maybe she was just trying to right a wrong that she very much created herself.
I mean, she did it on purpose, though. That's what my bone. It's not a bone of contention at all. My problem was that a lot of people thought that Janine had set it on purpose, and I think Janine would have been within her right to say, "No, I didn't." But then Janine kind of shot herself in the foot on a couple of occasions, because one, when she was in court and she was like kind of playing off the idea that she'd just come from a fire, she kept going, "Sorry, Judge." Yeah, I can't breathe. But also then she started spreading the vicious rumour that Shirley was the one who started the fire. And then that kind of, I think that wound up the square a little bit more. So, I mean, classic Janine, to be fair. And this is what I mean. This is the kind of Janine I wanted to see. This is the Janine she kind of manipulates and tries to get away with it.
Yeah. But I also have to say that we said when she first came in, I hope that she's back for the right reasons. I hope that they're not just bringing her in to do sort of Janine's best bits. And I have to say, you know, as much mud as gets flung at this era, I have to say, I think they've brought Janine back for a genuinely good reason, because this is a Janine we haven't seen before. This is generally fresh material for Janine. Janine as a parent. It's a natural progression for the character. When Scarlett came along, that's the natural place that we'd want to see Janine next, as in Janine learning how to be a parent, Janine kind of learning how to be a mum and showing love for her daughter and doing what she can for her daughter. I think this is generally a really new, fresh direction to take Janine in. I'm genuinely quite delighted about the direction they're taking Janine in. Where it goes from here, we will see. There's a million directions they could take it in, and I'm genuinely excited because it seems by the end of the week, despite the fact that Kat's sort of worked out that Janine started the fire and basically nearly killed both the children, Janine apparently is going to be living at the Slaters for a little while, which is going to be very interesting, especially when Stacey gets out of prison. There's going to be surely that's going to bring some fireworks, because it's very important to remember how much history. I mean, there's the history between Janine and Kat, and I think they've sort of dealt with that okay. You know, clearly Kat is very reluctantly sort of having Janine in her life at the moment, so that's not too bad. But the history between Janine and Stacey, come on, that's some material that's got to be worth reliving. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure when Stacey's going to be out, but should we? I mean, have we exhausted the fire? Is the fire out? Are we ready to move on to the next story?
Not quite for me. We've not quite found the fire out just yet, because there was just one little thing I wanted to say also about actually. Keep it going. You actually mentioning about the Stacey and Janine thing. I find it really interesting that you're right that they kind of Janine and Kat have kind of buried the hatchet temporarily for the care of Scarlett,
sort of, with very loose soil over the top.
Yeah, exactly. Ready for something to pop back out again. But and I like that they're kind of doing this joint custody thing, even though Kat's, got the custody. But yeah, I'm like you. I think that we're going to be talking about Ruby's story a little bit later on, but I feel like they've kind of rushed Ruby's story so that Ruby's out, so that then they can bring the Janine stories. Because I don't know how long ago they first thought about bringing Janine back into the show, but I now feel like it makes more sense that the whole Janine, Ruby and Stacey story, which we will talk about in more detail in a moment, kind of had that kind of rushed feeling and a bit muddled and a bit confused because they knew Janine was coming back, and now they want to start this war between Janine, Stacey and the Slaters, perhaps. So
sure,
yeah, like you, I'm kind of just acknowledging what you said. I like you. I'm very excited. I'm very excited by that, and I'm really excited about Tommy and Scarlett, because I think they are two bloody brilliant little actors, and I absolutely adore them.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a good little pairing going on there, I think. Yes, I mean, Scarlett is literally the perfect character, what I wanted her to be. When I think I said this last week, I've had conversations with people about what I wanted Scarlett to be, and it was a dream scenario, because I was convinced that Scarlett would just be brought back as a mini Janine, because that's the thing that they do with kids. And I genuinely said to somebody, I would love her to be like Safi from Ab Fab. And just be this real kind of bookworm I did say it on the show. And it's happened. It's like they literally went inside my brain and and even the way she looks, with her glasses and her geeky little smile. I can't believe how much this version of Scarlett is what's been put on the screen. It's amazing. And as for Tommy, we have to say what a fantastic little actor they've got to play Tommy. Was it Sonny, what's his name? Sonny...
I'm not sure. Now you said Sunny, I want to say and Cher, but I'm not sure.
Sunny Day. We'll know his name soon. But and to be fair, we will know his name soon, because I think that kid's going to go to good places. Because I don't know how old he is, but he is, and it's very unusual for me to care about a kid on the square this much, if I'm honest. Like, normally kid actors, you sort of go, okay, well. But this one is perfect. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where Tommy and Scarlett go from here. Good little pairing, and yes, we'll see.
Exciting stuff. So yes, now you can put the sand over the fire, and we'll move on. We'll move on to the we briefly actually touched on it with Kheerat being saved from the fire. So Gray became a little bit of a hero to the eyes of the people on the square. But this wasn't before Kheerat had put the flowers outside the house, Gray's house, number 1 Albert Square, to kind of commemorate the 1 year anniversary of Chantel's death, which really upset Gray. You didn't quite see the fallout of that, and by the middle of the week, Kheerat kind of then decided that maybe Gray's not such a bad guy after all, but still at arm's length for now. But we also got a phone call, or Gray got a phone call from his dad. Now, we discovered this week that Gray's the Grey's past is a little bit different to how we first were told it was, because during a therapy session when he was still with Chantel. No, we're not. Grey said in a therapy session that he had been abused by his dad. Is that correct? And his mum kind of put a blind eye to it and nothing of it. This week, Grey's dad revealed that actually Grey, a little bit, actually, I thought a little bit like Bobby. If you think about it, like, you know, hit.
We need to talk about Grey Atkins.
His mum. But abused his mum, and he was actually quite an evil little child, and his dad felt bad that he wasn't there to kind of nurture it, kind of curb it and stop it from happening. A wonderful line he actually said is like, basically one of my biggest regrets was that I let you go into the wide world without kind of stopping you, because his dad found out that Chantel had died, and he straight away put two and two together and realised it was at the hands of Grey. Now, for me, just me, and I was quite vocal about it on Twitter, this felt like a rewrite. This felt like that the writers, because I'd love to give them credit.
Say your thing first. Say your bit first, and then I'll argue with you.
Yeah, no, fine. I'd like to give them credit that they thought a year and a half ahead that they thought that they would do the scene where Grey... And again, don't get me wrong, it's not out of the realms of possibility for an abuser to lie in order to give himself the advantage. And I can understand that it would be a good excuse for Grey in that therapy session for him to kind of manipulate Chantel for her to want to stop it, so that the counselling went away, so he could continue his abuse for Grey. I get that. I 100% get that.
Yep.
But... I just don't think that's what the purpose of that was originally, because I rewatched that scene.
You don't think that's what happened?
The episode. No, I rewatched that scene, and his emotion, I don't know, because when he was playing the acting part of when Chantel had died, and he was like being all grumpy to everyone, his evilness came out every now and then. You saw the inklings of it, and people kind of spotted it, but then kind of round it in, thinking, oh, that could be just grief. And I just think that they would have maybe played it in a similar way during the therapy lesson. Not as obvious as this, and I said this to you at the beginning of the show, not as obvious as him going, oh, and then when he thinks no one's looking, he's like going like, oh, like that. That would be obviously, but then that's just me. I just feel like that when they did the story with his dad this week, and the dad revealed that it was actually Grey's evil, there's no other word for it, that he is just that way. And so he made up that whole thing about his mum up. But what do you think, Rob?
No, I mean, okay, so this is my thing with it, all right? For a start, and I know I'm going to get some some aggro about this. I have to say, this week was the first time that I've been really invested in the Grey storyline since Chantel died, to be perfectly honest with you. I
don't think you'll get aggro. I think a lot of people would agree with you.
I really liked the stuff with Grey and his dad this week. And I would argue that, yes, I'm not saying that I think you're wrong, actually. I understand exactly why you've just said everything that you've just said, all right? I understand that you could totally assume that they've just rewritten it. I would argue that, no, I do. And I could, but I would also argue that I feel it's more unlikely for them to rewrite their own material than a previous era's material. Do you know what I mean by that? I feel like we've got to give them at least credit that they've planned their own stuff. They've planned their own stuff out for the future, you know. But even if they haven't, you know, I think it's actually quite realistic that Grey would lie for a start. And I think what you're supposed to see is that Grey is a complete and utter narcissist who possibly had completely and utterly created his own version of events to sort of justify his own reasons for why he's doing what he's doing.
That's an interesting
because
thought.
That's not unusual.
Yeah, so he kind of thought in his own mind that did kind of happen.
Because I feel that if it was literally a case of Grey being some sort of moustache twirling Dick Dastardly type character, when he was alone with his dad, he would have been that little bit more sort of like visibly like gnarling at his dad and trying to threaten it, you know what? But when his dad was saying everything, it was clearly getting to Grey in terms of, no, stop it. This is, you're trying to scratch away at the lie I've created for myself, you know? So for me, I bought it, if I'm honest with you. I bought the fact that he would have lied, to Chantel. I bought the fact that he would have completely and utterly he basically relayed in that therapy session. I think he could have just relayed the version of events that he's created for himself. Because I think that he is aware of his own evilness, and he's trying to justify it, and he sees. I think he sees his dad. I think he does believe that it's his dad's fault for the way that he is, because if you were a proper dad, maybe you'd have stopped me. Maybe you'd have done something about me. Clearly, I'm somebody who needs help. Clearly, I'm somebody that has been begging for your help since I was a child, and you haven't given it to me. And now look what the sort of person I am. That's the sort of person that Grey is. To blame, and and to be fair, from what we can see of Grey's character, that's what we've seen of Grey since it was revealed that he is the sort of person that he is. This is somebody who blames anything. This is what domestic abusers do. They blame it on everybody else but themselves. This is, it's the classic thing of, why are you making me be this way? That's the sort of person that he is. So I can totally buy the fact that he has made up this version of events, and that he blames it all on his dad. So for me, and I actually, the intensity of the scene, again, I thought, there were so many times this week when I thought Grey was going to kill again. And I thought his dad was a goner. I thought he was going to have a pillow placed over his face. I thought Grey was going to turn off his machinery. And because Whitney was doing what she did last time, whenever Whitney really needs to be somewhere to witness some of Grey's behaviour, she goes away for an hour. She only went to get a coffee. Where'd she go? Costa's in town.
And a biscuit.
She needs to go to a coffee machine and a biscuit. I'll go find a biscuit. So Whitney is currently searching around the hospital for one chocolate digestive, while Grey is doing all the sorts of things.
The elusive chocolate digestive.
Yes. I mean, we've all been there. The elusive Garibaldi biscuit. So, I mean, I bought it, and I didn't really see it as that much of a rewrite. Some people will say that it was, and that's fine. I can understand why. I'm not saying those people are wrong, but for me, it worked.
No.
So.
Yeah. Well, no, it did. It certainly worked. So you're 100% right there. It worked, and it was believable. It at first sight, though, for me, it felt like a rewrite. A lot of people did say that why would they benefit from doing a rewrite? It makes more sense for his story now. I mean, I think it still made sense if you hadn't had that bit added on. And
you know me, Alex, I'm not one to defend the Grey storyline.
No. But do you think there was a few people going, kind of tweets going around this week saying that this could be like almost like a new Nasty Nick character? Because, now there's no real explanation for the way he is. A bit like Nasty Nick. Well, yeah, but do you think that because there's no real explanation now, that it's just that Grey is evil, it seems, is this like a character then that could be around for years and years and years? Is this another reason why they're kind of making this character being born? Because, I mean, we've come so far away from the domestic violence story, really, now, haven't we? Especially now they've introduced this.
We might be going back to it now.
We're now getting into the... Well, with Whitney. So, because Whitney and Grey got very close this week as well, didn't they? Almost kissing. So, do you think they are kind of curving themselves back around again with the Whitney?
I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Christmas / New Year is going to be sort of the ending of the Grey story. Surely, you'd think, wouldn't you? If they're going to, I think it's pretty. For me, I'd say it's a pretty damn near certain fact that either Christmas Day or New Year's Day, Grey's going to probably die, isn't he? In some way. So it gives them a couple of months to sort of build up a little bit of a mini version of the Chantel and Grey story with Whitney. I think the thing is, the him and Whitney thing has been coming for a long time, and frankly, I'm amazed it's taken them this long to get to it, and people have died before we got to this point. And then there is also the issue of Tina, and I still wouldn't be surprised if Tina walks into the Vic on Christmas Day. I will admit, quite freely and openly, I have less and less evidence that this is going to happen by the day. But you never know. You never know. I'm clinging desperately onto a slowly fading theory here, but I feel I would be more surprised if Tina's dead as to opposed if she's alive, but...
Grey has Tina's credit card, doesn't he? So he's been spending the money that, from that account that Shirley had put in this week.
He looked at a cash point that was next to the Vic and imply that was where he was going to withdraw the money from. I'm pretty sure even Walford police would have some sort of tracking thing. Oh yeah, she withdrew it from literally next door, Shirley. She's around Walford somewhere. You know that cash machine that's literally next door to your house? She took money out of there. How did he know her PIN number? If I'm going to be really picky, is that the last bit of information that he got out of her when she was strangling her on the floor? You be quiet, and tell me your PIN number. Is that what happened? Before I wrap you up with a Subway sandwich. Yeah, imagine that being your last word.
I mean, it could be something. It could be something really dumb, like it's her birthday. I wouldn't put it past Tina that her PIN number is her birthday.
Yeah, but they don't.
Let's be honest.
You can't do that with your PIN number, can they? I thought your PIN number is the one you get from the bank.
You can, if you're...
I thought... Can you?
Well, no, you can change it, though. Once you get to a cash point machine, you can...
Why am I used to this life?
I love educating Rob. We need a new part of the episode, educating Rob. Every week, we talk to you about porches. We talk to you about PIN numbers.
Amazon lockers. You talk to me about masking tape on light switches. Everything. I've learned. You've taught me so much, Alex. You're my teacher.
You're welcome.
Sente. Thanks. And I teach you how to say words properly.
and you're slowly teaching me how to speak English, so that's the main thing.
Yeah. Can I just say, before we carry on, listeners, a completely unrelated conversation, listeners, please, just a completely unrelated conversation that me and Alex were having when we were trying to think of the intro for today's episode. And this might not even make the edit, but can you tell us, have you ever heard of the phrase running out of runway, as opposed, as meaning... running out of time. It was a conversation that me and Alex were having before we started the episode. And Alex has never heard of this saying, and then turned around to me and said, and I bet you no one else has heard of it either. And was really smug about it. And his little quiff quivered as he gave me a little head roll. So please tell me, listeners, if you've heard, yeah, that's the one. So please, listeners, tell me if you've heard of that saying, just so I can poke Alex with a stick later on in the week. Thank you. Carry on, Alex.
Comment below or get in touch with us on social media. Detail will be at the end of the show. Nice little link. But I was going to say, talking about the incompetency of the Walford police this week. I mean, I think you're giving them a lot of credit because this week they decided to arrest Ruby based on the evidence of, let's be honest, a very, very mad woman after she had already lied to police. Yeah. I mean, Jean wasn't aware. Oh my goodness, stop.
Oh, cancer!
Everything.
No! She hasn't got it!
Jean's not dying from cancer! We finally know!
10 months it took us to get here. 10 months of us literally going... Jean hasn't got cancer, surely. Surely Jean hasn't got cancer. Surely they should have. They'd have told. She can't kill off Jean. Surely Jean hasn't got cancer. 10 months, EastEnders, you've made us have this conversation for, just for you ultimately for her to have to take one solitary visit to a doctor to say, no, I don't know what's wrong with you. You haven't got cancer. It's benign, love. You're fine.
Yeah.
Are you ever like that?
I did love that the doctor said that basically the reason why you feel sick is because you're making yourself feel sick. I thought to myself, I'm going to use that for work one day. I'm going to phone in and say, hi work, I can't come in because I feel sick. So I'm sick.
I feel sick. It's placebo in a way, isn't it? That's how it works. Honestly, but I'm delighted at the same time. Finally, that's done. I genuinely feel like a weight has been... I don't know how Jean feels. I feel like a weight has been lifted because it's like finally, that's done. Finally, we don't have
Jean
to worry
had
about
a heavenly light come down on
cancer.
her when she
did. It was like...
Yeah, she turned around and she looked up. I know.
Yeah. And God smiled down.
That was a wonderful moment. And said, yes, Jean, you will be cured from cancer.
Daniel appeared in the clouds
I am pleased.
Daniel appeared in the clouds like Mufasa on The Lion King. You are free, my child.
Little wink. I'm glad that happened. I'm glad it's been explained. Finally.
Yes.
But this is all because Jean had been arrested for... Well, it's just we've been waiting so long to get some sort of explanation about Jean's sickness. So long.
Finally.
Good. It's happened. Finally. But Jean has basically thrown Ruby under the bus and lied and said that Ruby had told her to grow the cannabis. Meanwhile, at the same time, Martin had visited Stacey in prison. Stacey had basically said to Martin, I told you she's a wrong 'un. Yeah, I told you she's been lying. Martin's like, thank goodness I finally realised it. Ruby and Martin have it out with one another, where Martin basically says, right, now you've come out with it. You
Good
come
scene.
clean to police. Ruby says, no, but I'm pregnant. Tries to find the pregnancy sick to prove it. Martin just thinks it's more lies. The police then arrest Ruby. And as she's in the police car, she looked in her handbag and everywhere for that stick, but it was in her pocket after, because she went and it fell out of her pocket. And that's it. I believe that's the last of Ruby. I think that we don't see any more of her now until maybe 9 months' time when Martin might find out about the baby. I mean, there was, as you say, some phenomenal scenes in there, especially between Martin and Ruby.
The story itself, I mean, yes. Now, James Byrne and Louisa Lytton were brilliant on Fridays. There were some really nice scenes between, as Martin just sort of, just basically unravelled Ruby, didn't she? She just slowly went to pieces as she sort of realised how many lies she's told. Again, still pushing the fact that she does believe that Stacey is the reason that she miscarried. So she hasn't lost that, but she admits that she did set it up. She admits that she's been lying. And I would say unsurprisingly from Martin's perspective, he struggles to believe that she might be pregnant as soon as he turns around and goes, right, well, all you need to do now is go to the police and tell the truth. And then Stacey can come home and my kids can have their mum back. And that's when Ruby's kind of like, oh, but I can't go now. The stress will be too much because I'm pregnant. Now, and it gets Jean completely off the hook. Would that happen? Because she still was growing the cannabis in her garage, so would they not sort of give her a bit more of punishment than that?
Didn't she? She made a deal with the police. She made it very clear from the beginning. Every time she kept lifting up the microphone and saying, I'm Jean Slater. And, she kept... Did you notice this week, actually? That's something I noticed this week. That every time Jean spoke about Ruby, she used her full name. She kept saying Ruby Allen. This is what Ruby Allen does. Do you know Ruby Allen? Ruby Allen started the legacy. Ruby Allen. Did you... Was that like the writers basically reminding us that Ruby is an Allen? You know what I mean? That Johnny Allen is her dad, and keep
as if we haven't
reminding
needed
us she is
as if we haven't had constant reminders of that all the way through Ruby's past year. Whenever she looks into a picture of Johnny, and absorbs the power of his evil, and then does something nasty every single time that she's just pictures of Johnny everywhere. Evil. So yes. So that is Ruby done for now. I mean, she will be back, presumably, because she's got a Fowler baby inside her. And that's a legacy child, that is. So, surely... And I'm sorry, but I refuse for Louisa not to come back after this week, because she's great.
This is it. So how soon will Martin find out about the baby, then, do you think?
Well, I think it might be when Ruby comes back with a pram, surely. I don't know how long Ruby's going to get in prison for this. Well, I don't see the point otherwise. Do you know what I mean? But then she's surely going to give birth in prison, isn't she? Oh no, because she only just discovered that she's pregnant, isn't she? So she theoretically has got 9 months to be pregnant before she gives birth to the baby, and then she could theoretically be out in 9 months. Because I don't think that I mean, how long do you get for what she's actually been arrested for? You don't get it's not like it's life, is it? So she'll get
I don't think it's life, but I think it would be greater than 9 months. I mean, it's drugs. I mean, they take drugs very seriously in the UK.
They do. Class B's, It's... I don't know. I don't know how long she'd be... as they kept telling us. I don't know how long that she's going to be in prison for. Surely no longer than a year. I think they could get away with, releasing her in a year, couldn't they? She's... good behaviour and all that. But I mean, to be fair, murderers have been let out for less than Ruby did. Lucas was only in prison for half of his bloody sentence, and he killed 3-4 people. So anything's possible.
I mean, this is the other thing. Martin didn't. Why didn't Martin stand up for Ruby? Because he knew that when the police searched the house and they found not buds, cannabis plants, which kind of also sounded a bit weird for me. Because surely the buds would be the part that you sell on, but the cannabis plants are less illegal.
No, you don't sell plants. You don't get you don't tend to get dealers standing on street corners handing out little pot plants to people, do you? It doesn't tend to quite be like that. Like you say, you get them in little bags, apparently.
In your local garden centre. But Martin knew that was Lily's. So, and Ruby said, that's not mine. So did Martin not say anything because he knew that he would get his daughter in trouble, and so he stopped, or did he? Because I think that Ruby.
Well, no, because I think that he sees the weed thing. I think as Ruby's fault. So he then saw Ruby. When she started going on about Lily, I think he saw it as though she will now try anything to get herself out of trouble, and she's now trying to get my daughter arrested or something. I mean, it was tenuous, I think is the phrase that we would use a little bit. It's one of those storylines that if you pull the strings too much, it kind of falls apart. A bit like last week, we discovered, where, like, if you pull one little Jenga tower out, the whole kit and caboodle just falls to the ground in clouds of smoke and dust. So all together now, it is what it is. But I thought on the whole, it wasn't that bad, you know. They created a right little spaghetti junction of a plot to get all of these maternity leaves going in, some going out. So I do think that there is a point where you kind of have to give them a begrudging well done for sorting that out, because in some ways you could argue that there's been a lot of exits and entrances that they've had to sort of try and work around. Because if you think about it, Stacey's plots for the past 2 years have effectively been her coming back and then immediately trying to build up to her next maternity leave story, which is essentially has been what this story has been all about. And then Louisa goes on maternity leave. So I think this is
it's all Lacey Turner's fault.
All Lacey Turner's fault.
Turner,
but I think in some ways, bless her. But I think this is in some ways this is going to be that's almost the best they could have done with the situation, isn't it? So, I don't know.
Ultimately, then, this is the big question. This is the biggie. Whose side are you on? And you can't be neutral with this. Do you feel sorry for Ruby and kind of think that actually she's been wronged by so many people, that she kind of, her making that plea saying that she never had a mother, she never really had anyone she could be guided by? Or do you think that Stacey and Martin and Jean were right to get her arrested ultimately and sent to prison?
Well, see, now, I kind of, let's be honest here, when they were doing that scene between Ruby and Martin, she did kind of give out some quite fair points about Stacey to Martin, like, hey, she's cheated on you, she's used you quite a bit, you know, it was fair play, to be fair. And I do believe that she genuinely believes now some of the things that she was saying, some of the lies that she came out with. And I kind of felt sorry for her by the end, because she just feels abandoned now. So I feel that when she does come back, it's going to be with a grudge. But then at the same time, she has wrecked quite a few lives, and it could well have been that Jean never saw Stacey again. So, and you know, she wasn't to know that, if even Jean didn't know whether she had it or not. Ruby certainly wasn't to know whether it was going to be the last time that she saw. So, I know you said don't be neutral, but I think there's a bit of give and take. It's not like Stacey was a completely innocent party throughout the entire thing, really, was it? Ruby has done bad things, and she's now been punished for that, and quite rightly so. But I also think Stacey has now been punished for her wrongdoings as well. So I think the balance of the scales of justice have been sort of rightened, I think.
It's like it's an old saying my dad used to say, it takes two to tango. There you go. That's a saying I'm sure a lot of people know. It takes two to tango at the end of a runway. There's another thing, though, that Jean hasn't told Martin and Stacey that actually she's clear of cancer.
Well, she doesn't think they know.
I know, but Martin does know. So would some of his reasoning be for why he went for Ruby? Would that kind of maybe make him be a bit more regretful because of it? Maybe
it's possible. I mean, maybe not. Just because. Because I mean, my issue is that I would have liked another week of Ruby, just because I'm not a massive fan of them just carting away in the police car, so we don't see the interviews, we don't see the fallout of, you know, finding out how long she's going to be. Like, we're going to get like one line, a throwaway line in a scene in a few weeks saying, "Oh, Ruby's received 2 years in prison" or something like that. That's going to be the end of it. And I would have quite liked to have seen a bit of sort of aftermath with just Ruby and the police, and sort of trying to get herself out of it and failing ultimately, which once upon a time we would have had, but you know, what can you do? It's a shame, but I have to say I can't wait for Ruby to come back. There was a time when I kind of was looking at Ruby and thinking, what are you here for? You know, why are you, like, you're not, but in the past year or so, she has been really integrated into the square, you know, owning the club. Ooh, that's interesting. The club's now up for grabs, isn't it? That's a good point. The club is now without an owner.
Oh yeah, I wonder if Sharon might grab it.
Ooh, or Janine. Is that, Janine owns the club at one point, didn't she?
But then Janine's got no money, so how's she going to afford to get the club? Unless she does it underhandedly. Or she makes a deal with someone, Mitchell's maybe.
Oh.
So much potential. Yes, I forgot the club is up for grabs. That's a very interesting
the club's up for grabs. Let's see what happens. Maybe another Panasar claim. Who knows?
The Panasars might get it, yes, because the Panasars are growing their empire bit by bit. Can you imagine if they called it Jags?
They won't.
Imagine if they...
They won't.
Don't you think? Don't you think?
Rat catchers.
Let's move on, and we're going to talk about Tiff and Dotty, and their spat has continued this week. After a little hiatus, Tiff and Dotty have a bit of a fight because they group up during a gym session at Sharon's gym.
A bit of a fight? I mean, she attempted to grind her face off. It was like something out of a Saw movie. Like trying to literally remove her face.
You think that Tiff went a bit too far then? Do you think that the...
Well, I was just quite surprised. You know, I was expecting a sort of cat fight. I was expecting a roll around, you know, a few punches and kicks. I was not expecting her to try and basically torture her with a tread. Like, it was in front of an entire gymnasium of people as well. Did you not think that there might be some slight repercussions if she removed Dotty's nose via treadmill in front of an entire gymnasium full of people? Did you not think that there might be a little bit of, you know, aftermath from that? But hey,
I just don't think Tiff was thinking. I think she was just narrow-mindedly just thinking, you ruined my life.
Dotty had the nerve to borrow her cardigan this week. Can you believe that? As if Dotty, like, she literally got, oh, that's right, Tiff will be fine. I'll just borrow her cardigan. I borrowed her husband and now I'll borrow her cardigan. The cheek! I'm not surprised if he went mad at her.
Because Dotty thinks that they're friends again. Dotty says, like, I'm so glad we're friends again. Like, Dotty had this really naive thought that, like, they just, like, really delusional. She just thought that, like, it's all over now. Like, it's all forgiven.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, I don't, Dotty did do the bad thing there. But then, again, this was a weird thing. Not a weird thing, actually. This is something I kind of understood with the writing. That Tiff was kind of put into perspective of, why are you blaming just Dotty for this? Why is Keegan not being put into the frame of blame for this as well? Why aren't you lashing out on Keegan too? Because it's not, you know, it takes two people to commit it. But where is Keegan then? So why is Keegan not about? Why is Keegan not being interacted into this story? Because I don't like that it's being basically singled out that it's all Dotty's fault. And I feel like that, you know, Tiff needs to have it out with both of them, not just the one.
Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, they've done. I think for now they've sort of done the whole Keegan and Dotty thing, and they can kind of put that aside for a second to deal with the fallout between Tiffany and Dotty, because I think it's worth remembering. I think that Tiff has kind of been forced to live with Dotty for a while, for about a month now since it happened. You know, living with somebody that had sex with your husband when you were nearly dying on the floor from a bad facial injection, like that's got to be, you know, that's got to sting a little bit, you know. So I can kind of see why they've sort of focused on. I'm sure Keegan will be brought back into it, because it kind of felt as though what Dotty said to Tiff sort of landed as well, didn't it? It kind of felt as though she kind of went, "Oh yeah, you're right." So I mean, it was extreme, but I did enjoy the ultimate moment of Dotty sort of flying at Tiff and sort of basically being her mother's daughter, wasn't she? So so that was fun. Where it goes from here, I'm not entirely sure, because surely Tiff is going to say to Sonia, "Look, one of us needs to go here," and why should it be me? Because she's the one that's done this. She's the one that has basically come into Walford and caused nothing but trouble since she arrived. You know, she slept with my husband. You know, she's caused you no end of grief. You know, so you know, and she's the reason that Dot's not here anymore. So effectively, why should I have to put up with this? Kick her out. You know, you can sort of see where Tiff would be coming from. So I'm intrigued to see where it's going to go from here. But I think Keegan will come back into it at some point, because the last time we saw them, they were basically on the verge of divorce, weren't they?
Well, Tiff deliberately went into the house with Vinny to make Keegan jealous because Keegan was watching on, and then Keegan had a word with Mitch, and Mitch gave the advice of...
That's right.
No, and Mitch gave the advice of basically saying, why don't you kind of just leave it, which was ridiculous
that's
because
right,
he should
yeah.
be fighting for his relationship, and that's why I feel like
forgot about
it's silly that they're showing that Keegan has just kind of pulled out and gone, especially when he's meant to be like making a crust, no pun intended, with his sandwich business, and now he's kind of he's just kind of gone nowhere. He's kind of gone a bit AWOL. I don't know, but there's something else that happened at the gym at the same time, which distracted Sonia from watching these two girls having a fight for a moment. Was she met a new beau? Yes, Ethan. She's met a new beau, Ethan. I mean, we're very much at the early stages of this right now. I think we know more next week. But I'm under the understanding, and I don't think this is a spoiler by saying this, but if you might want to skip, but basically Terry's view on Ethan is going to be changeable next week. So what do you think the dynamic could be with Terry seeing that his daughter is dating a new man? Do you think Terry's going to be... Do you think Terry's right to kind of like step in and be the father figure, or do you think Sonia's going to begrudge him for being that way? But how do you think this may play out next week?
I mean, he was advising condoms yesterday, so something must happen to kind of...
Well, Terry, don't forget to buckle up.
Yeah, don't forget to buckle up before you ride the bike. So I think that sort of perspective, something's going to have to shift. I have to say, I don't trust Ethan. I don't know why. I don't know if it was the actor's portrayal, or he wasn't doing anything particular. I just don't trust him. Instantly didn't trust him. Instantly, sort of like, you're a wrong'un, you're dodgy, don't like you, there's something wrong with you. I don't know why, I've got no evidence, but I instantly felt that this is not a relationship that Sonia is going to enjoy in any respect whatsoever. I don't know why, but something is dodgy about him. He's a bit too good to be true, isn't he?
Right.
Like, good looking bloke you meet at the gym and immediately text you back. That doesn't happen. Blokes don't just text you back. Trust me, I know. They don't just text you back and take you for lunch the next day. Rob. That doesn't happen. Doesn't happen.
Rob, I think your personal issues are getting involved with this one, so I think we should move on very quickly.
Doesn't happen.
Wow. Final story then, and that is the Linda secret finally coming out with Jack. Jack, who literally shouted at a pregnant woman for about
while she was in labour.
Bless Linda.
While she was in labour.
I mean, bless her. I felt so bad for Linda the whole time.
It took her waters to break. I half expected Jack to be like, I'm not buying that. Like, where's the bottle that you've just spilled on the floor? And start searching her for a Volvic bottle or something as she spilled on the floor to kind of force the moment home. He was useless. Absolutely useless. But yes, Linda has now given birth to little Annie Carter. It's a ginger baby. Let's just
with her red hair.
Let's just get this straight out there. Yeah, it's a little ginger baby. Effectively, if there was any doubt that was Max's kid to anybody, the kid's ginger. So that's.
It's not improbable. It's not improbable that Mick and Linda could have had a ginger baby, but
it would be
more
unhelpful,
likely that someone maybe Linda was seeing. Yeah, it would be more likely that someone that she was seeing. I mean, that's a huge clue. It's like a giant beacon on her head, isn't it, to say that like this
Max's kid, Max's
baby.
Yeah.
But I do love the name. I think Annie is perfect.
Annie Carter. And we have Annie. It's a great name for someone who lives at the Vic. Even I know it's a kid, but
Lovely
Annie.
Name.
I like the name
Lovely
Annie who
name.
lived in the Vic. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. Future landlady material there. Can you imagine there's somebody called Annie?
I was about to say, yeah.
16.
Yes.
So we've got a bit more of the whole sort of... Rainee is kind of distracted all this week because Bernie goes and gets her scan pictures this week because Bernie's now properly pregnant and is going to scans, and she's got a little girl, I think. Is it a boy or a girl? A boy, actually, isn't it? I think Bernie's going
we don't know. No, we don't know because Stuart says our little boy, girl, or whatever they want to be, because
non-binary baby.
Kind of very modern kind of take for Stuart there.
That's Stuart. But Rainee is sort of distracted by all of this, thinking that she should be massively happy with, because she is convinced that Linda is lying to her, and eventually storms into the Vic. I don't know why she doesn't just look at the kid's head. It's Ginger. Oh, that's clearly Max's. What are you playing at, woman?
That's what I mean.
No. Wait until it grows a bit more hair. Linda's going to have a great difficulty in trying. No wonder Linda's going to leave soon. I need to take my ginger baby and run away until this all stops.
She starts bleaching that small child's hair.
Yeah.
Like box
Like to be out footballers' wives. again this week. You know, we were saying last week that Jack had said, "Oh, I've rang Max. He's coming tomorrow." Now it did sound, and we were like, "What are they doing? Max isn't coming back." Like, and this is the thing. I do not believe that Max at any point, if he found out that he had another kid, he would stay away. I don't think he would. This is Max. He's lost a kid already, and and that's why he's taken Abby. I don't believe he would for a second.
I don't know. I think bonds are strong with the Brannings, and they and it's it's a family stuff. And I think
exactly.
Rainee's got a point. I think she's right to think that Max will come back. But I think that Rainee
that's what I mean.
is so hooked up on it. It's so obsessed with it. Oh, great. So but
I
think
Rainee's so
she's obsessed with it. It's going to send her.
Yeah,
we're just going to send her mad, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why Rainee is so, because this is the thing, because she wants Abby back so desperately, and Max is somehow just kind of trekking around Europe with this little girl, and she.
Max on
but
tour.
The thing is, we have said quite often, clearly Jake Wood's not coming back for at least a while, is he? So, and they keep they could have just closed it there when Jack was like, "No, I haven't really rang him. I just want you to tell me the truth." Fine, I bought that, and that would have been put to bed. Okay, fine, they've sorted out. Max isn't coming back. But then again, by the end of the week, Rainee's going, "Right, I'm telling Max. That's it." Storms out of the Vic. So again, we've got a potential for Max to be coming back. Like, what are they doing? Jake's not coming back for a bit. Why stop teasing us that he is when he's clearly not, and stop trying to write yourself into a corner by trying to get the fact that Max isn't coming back? It's very odd. So, Linda's maternity leave is just around the corner.
Surely the ultimate goal here, because they're making such a big issue that Rainee, although she's happy that she's got her own child, will she ever just accept that she's now got a child with Stuart? Or is she always going to have in the back of her mind that baby Abby is out there and she wants to get baby Abby back? And
it looks like it, doesn't it?
How
because
far
she should be more excited about Bernie's kid.
Obsession.
They should be more excited. She should be more excited and more preoccupied with the kid that Bernie's about to have for them. This is the closest thing that she's got to her own child. She came in with the baby Abby thing, and fair enough, fell in love with the kid, and wanted to be the mother to him, and that's sort of gone on from there and became really attached to Abby. Fair enough, but this kid that she's got on the way is Abby really isn't any connection to Rainee. Really, is she? There's a kid on the way that's much more of a connection to her than baby Abby is. So, what I'm wondering is now, what is Linda's next move? Because obviously Kelly Bright's going on maternity leave soon. So I'm still at a loss as to what Linda's going to do. Is she literally just going to run away, and with the risk of Max coming back and seeing his ginger prodigy, and sort of just hide until Kelly's ready to come back? Is that literally where it's going to go?
I don't know. I think that is. I can't think of anything. I mean, I don't. This is the thing. I don't. As we said earlier on the podcast, there's been so many maternity storylines that have just become so confusing and convoluted that you're just kind of just watching.
I know. Thinking, so many of them.
Okay, we get it. They're leaving soon. That's it. And I just don't want Linda's to get any more complicated than it is already. Exactly.
What is
and
wrong
I would
with just
accept
saying
that.
a character?
I would happily accept that.
I'd accept that. It's fine. You don't need to write yourself into twists and turns to sort of it's nothing wrong with a character just saying, "Do you know what?
It doesn't need to
Screw
be exciting.
This square. I'm going on holiday for 9 months. See you later." Just leaving. Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that at all. But
we really don't need. We really don't need anything exciting at all. And to be honest with you, if it ends with, as you say, that Linda gets a little bit worried that Max will return, but we know he won't return because we know that he's never coming back for a while. But if Linda believes, the character believes he is, then fine. That's fine by me. But I just don't want it to be... I just don't want it to be mad. I don't want it to be confused and complicated. We don't need any more of those now. It's coming up to Christmas. Let's get the big guns out. Let's get the big stories going, shall we? Let's get the ones that we really
they're filming Christmas now, people. Yeah. They are filming. The lights are out. The lights are out. The sets have been revealed. There is Christmas lights on the square as we speak. Christmas is being filmed. Do let us know, by the way, in the comment section or on YouTube, as Christmas is now being filmed, who is going to be the stars of Christmas 2021 this year. What do you think? Place your bets now.
Oh, yeah. No, I'll be absolutely really interested. At Walford Weekly on Twitter and Instagram, or comment below. But more details will be at the end of the show, which Rob will detail after we have done your comments from this week on I Ain't Want to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't want to gossip.
So this is the part of the show where we read out your comments on our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Facebook group. As always, don't forget to get in touch. All the details at the end of the show. Starting off, I'm going to talk about a thread. It was a conversation between two people on our Twitter page. At Distray2003 said it's an unpopular opinion, but Ruby didn't deserve it. Now she's got pregnant. But at Jacob and Zach kind of commented below and said she totally deserved it. She played someone to get Stacey attacked, faked a pregnancy, and used Martin until she was pregnant. She paid Kush to run away with Arthur, got Stacey sent down for something she didn't do, and also tried to get Jean arrested. It's all karma. So this is what we were saying earlier.
That's very true.
It's difficult to take a side. But there's a lot of stuff that really did ultimately
if you list it like that, to be fair, I'd forgotten about half of that. So yeah, that's very true. I've completely forgotten that she paid to get Stacey attacked. And that was a while back as well, wasn't it? So yeah, fair play. I think Ruby has got what she deserved in a lot of ways. I think becoming pregnant doesn't necessarily remove all responsibility from you, does it? But yeah, I think it's okay to still feel sorry for Ruby because I think that she's acted out purely out of desperation.
Yes. I agree. At Tufts and Quiffs has said, I loved the twist with Gray's dad, and he's not a victim of his dad, but just a spoiled little mummy's boy. Looking forward to seeing how that will pan out, although it would be sweeter karma to have a female take him down. I'm looking at you, Whitney Dean, and Laura the lawyer. I mean, Laura the lawyer would be the one I want to happen, but it's going to be
Laura the lawyer, yes.
I think it's all past leading.
Is there another death on the way?
I think all past leading.
Is he going to take one more down with him? Is he going to take one more down with him before he goes?
See, I thought he would take hhis dad down, but after reflection, I just don't think there'd be any point because his dad's dying anyway. So there's no real point to it.
That's true.
But
his dad could sort of do it on his deathbed, couldn't he? So he's going to try and avoid. He's got to try and avoid that scenario. I don't know. I can't help but think he's got one more in him before he goes. I'm assuming at Christmas or New Year, but I think that he's got one more in him. I'm pretty sure.
See, I don't think they're going to kill Gray off. I don't know if I said this earlier, but I think they're going to keep him on. And no, either they're going to do a fake out death with him, or he's going to somehow get away, and he'll come back in a later date. That's anyway.
What would be the point once
House
he comes
of
back?
EastEnders.
Go on. Yeah. No, all I was going. That's quite a Kate Oates thing to do. Actually, kind of do a fake out exit and then bring somebody back. She's done that with literally every psychopath she's ever created in any soap that she's ever done. So yeah, you could have a very good point there. Actually.
Final comment then this week is from at House of Enders, and they've written, best week of the year. I felt every episode moved at a nice pace, and there was some real lull moments and great tension. Appreciated how it felt like storylines were moving on and questions were finally being answered. A real step up. So a fan there of this week's episodes.
Fair, yeah. No, I think on the whole this has actually been a fairly good week. I have enjoyed this week, and I've enjoyed the episodes. Monday was great. Friday, like yesterday's episode, was pretty good as well. There's some really nice dialogue and nice scenes in there. So yeah, I can go along with that. Best of the year, I don't know, but I did enjoy the year greatly. What do you think? Did you enjoy this week? Please let us know. There are many ways you can contact us. So many ways. The ways are endless, and that could be by contacting us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe and click the bell to get notifications about our spoiler videos. And you can listen to us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify or any of your favourite podcast sites. You can email us at robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or at alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. That's a good link, wasn't it? Kind of landed on that quite nicely. There you go. I'm a pro. I know my stuff. We'll be back same time next week. Who knows what we'll be discussing? You never know what's going to go on in Walford. But for now, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
See ya!